Hello guys, how's it going? This is the Amateurist guy speaking to you live. Now today is 16th of May, Saturday, and it's already hot like a hot summer day. It's 27 degrees Celsius, and it almost defeats me and my purpose today. The heat, and it's really, and it makes me brace how it's gonna be in about a month or two. Anyway. So what am I going to talk about today? Today I'm going to talk about, it's a sensitive issue, by the way. I'm going to talk about the purpose of living. And the reason why I came to this topic is that I've been watching, and as you know, I've been watching a lot of YouTube channels and videos, and it came to it occurred to me that there are a lot of young people, sorry, young people. Think about my age, and we're young people, and especially the Gen Zs. They've been, I've seen a lot of videos about them lamenting about what's the purpose of living, as if they're having the darkest time in their life. I know there are a lot of things going on at the moment, in a financial meltdown, financial crisis, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of things going on, but for me, being in 45 years of age, I guess I still have a lot to go, yeah. However, it's like my darkest time in life to date is neither now, which is, we're in the middle of financial crisis, or, oops, neither now nor in 2008, Lehman Brothers financial crisis, which was quite big then, but it's neither of those two. But for mine, it's a lot earlier than that. Lot earlier. In fact, it was when I was in school. Those were the darkest time of my life, man. And it was exactly that time I was lamenting the same thing. What's the point of living? Well, and it was such a dark time, so much so that question, what's the point of living, got extrapolated to why was I even born in the first place? So it was such a dark time, but as you can see, I'm living now, right? So what happened to me? Why am I taking a video of myself now? How am I living? Like, ooh, someone's running. Jogging, good for him. It's an exercise. I can't run that much, actually. Anyway, so how was it like? Well, this topic, right? The purpose of living. It's such a complicated topic. It probably requires, for the sake of simplicity and the benefit of the audience for this YouTube, I think it's probably good for me to delve into this issue with an angle like this. I'm going to start with this. Oh, the car's coming. And you were born without knowing, yeah? It's like, there was nothing you could have done. So, all this consciousness, all this knowledge, your mind, and all those things came after you're born. So that is a single sort of unwavering truth, the fact that you can't argue, right? I can't argue. It's just a fact. And from there, how it goes is that probably splits up into two ways of thinking. One is I am free and I am allowed to do anything I like because I was born without knowing, right? As in nature. I like that idea, yeah, it sounds logical. And the other one is, the number two, I'm going to cross the road. And I'm going to change my hand, just a moment please. Sorry. The other one being, I must have some kind of purpose in my life, right? Because I was born without knowing. Which is also logical, but somewhat deeper than the first one. So I was wondering, which one is it for you? It's not easy to decide, is it? Because they're both sort of true. Anyway, so while you're thinking, let me tell you a little story that might be of your interest, yeah? So the story goes like this. for the sake of argument, say that I'm a bird, right? With a pair of wings on my back, and I'm free to fly and roam anywhere I like. And there is nothing more than a freedom of flying, and I can, I would go just anywhere, right? Anywhere I like, and it's easy for me to picture that you'll be doing the same too. However, I have this, academic book with me, even today, and I have the book with me today that, it disagrees with me. Why is that? Now, the book, which I just mentioned, is a bit complicated if I just say exactly what it's written on the book. So, if you don't mind me saying, just for the sake of simplicity and the benefit of audience, now I'll just put everything in my own words in simple, plain English. So, what the book said, out of interest, and reading further on, I figured that it said something like, I would probably fly as far as I can physically, right, before turning back to my old forest that I was born in. Oh. So, the book reckons that I'd give up and fly and come back to the old forest I was born in. Well, that's interesting. So I thought, why, and I kept reading on, and in plain English, again, in my own words, it said something like, there is no other place, than the forest I was born in that better feeds me, and better sort of shades me and shelters me, and better it makes me a fit to the food chain, or the, what would you call, the ecosystem, or whatever you want to call it. And even if I were lucky enough to find another forest out of long hours, long days of traveling, it is likely that the food chain and ecosystem which I have just mentioned, it's not gonna be replicated in that new forest I have, I might find in the future. To put that in a plain English, it's probably like, even if I do find the new forest, I'll probably have to confront another species, yeah, and the good chances they're going to tell me to piss off. That sounds more familiar in English to you. Yeah. So why? I understand that, okay, well, it's probably difficult to, leave my, original forest, and although I'm not physically bound, there is no physical boundary that prevents me from leaving my forest, but there is a so-called a logical sanction that wants to keep me in the old forest. So why is nature designed that way? One moment, please. So why is the nature designed that way? Because it sounds unfair. Well, out of interest, I read on anyway, and it says that, well, whatever the bird does in a forest, feeding on nuts, berries, insects, and living on a particular species, a particular tree, a particular tree and a particular height of the branch. Is it the bottom part of the branch? Was it the middle? Or is it the top part of the tree? All those intricacies, right? Whatever I do in a forest, they all indirectly contribute to maintaining and sustaining the forest in such a way that it produces oxygen for the entire Earth. Ooh, sorry. The car's coming. I just passed by. Ooh, what's this? Anyway. So that seems to be the big picture of the part of the big picture of being a bird and living in a forest. And as you know, the oxygen is probably it is the most important element in which any organism requires to live. Yeah, the oxygen we need to breathe. It comes before food. It becomes before water. It comes before sunlight. And any living organism will require oxygen to live. We breathe every second, and we will not even last a minute or two without it. And if I were the bird, which I have been explaining, I would have never conceived an idea of being part of that big picture, right? Sustaining maintaining the forest in a way that produces oxygen for the entire Earth. So, going back to the original question, it looks to me that there is a parallel to what is going on with the bird, which I just explained, and living in a forest of what is going on in human lives. And going back to the question, what's the point of living? Well, just like how the bird doesn't have any idea of being part of the bigger picture and producing the oxygen, we don't have a tangible idea of just what part of the big picture we're in, our lives, the purpose of our lives. So while I don't have an answer for you on this video, what is the purpose of your life, what is the purpose of my life, even I don't know. It's not in a tangible way anyway, right? It's not like it's written on a paper and a bang in front of your eyes on a table. It's not as tangible as that, but there is a purpose nevertheless in your life, and that is very important. And having said that, let us live strongly and live responsibly, and I hope I have said it right.